Exchange Commission to be here because the vice chair, who's a vice chair? Robert. The chair is the president, but usually the president appoints a sub. Who is the rep now?
Official of the president, ma'am, and that's Secretary
That's why.
Popoliti.
So it's important that you're
Yes.
here. And being a small agency, you should work closely with agencies of government, especially the DNR. No, it's not like kanya-kanyang turf kayo. No, everybody just helps each other. Yes.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay.
One
Thank
country
you.
team approach po.
Yes. So let me just read on record my opening statement. Pero ano, motherhood to eh. Kaya lang naghirap yung mga bago kong staff eh. Sige na nga, babasahin ko na rin. Pero motherhood, sino man ito? Okay, we'll talk about, today we will see the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, the attached agencies and corporations, if you have truly lived up to your mandate in protecting our environment. We will talk about air, water, and land. Land, we will talk about, terrestrial, but also mountains, bundok. We will talk about forestry. We will talk about oceans. Give me the of land area and oceans, including the exclusive economic zone and Benham Rise. We will talk about oceanography and the blue economy. We will talk about implementation of RA 9003. We will talk about the circular economy, even if it is not yet a law. We will talk about INIPAS, the 94 ako yun, and all the others 100 plus yun. It was Senator Villar also. We will talk about the national greening from the time yet of Sec Pahe. I know that there was a sunset provision on that. We will talk about protected areas and whether they are actually protected, including the one of Bohol. We will talk about coal and the just transition. We will talk about our preparedness and the legal framework for carbon credit trade with Singapore, which should be done hopefully this year. We will talk about biodiversity and many more. I just had to think aloud so that all my staff are new. In-notes niya na, akin na, lahat yan. So, do I have the whole day? Do I have the whole day? Yes. We will have the whole day. We will break 30 minutes, or if you want, we can have a working lunch. I hope to finish all of that. Why do I say this? Because the environment is not just a department. The environment is the whole nation. Is a Filipino people. It's who we are. It is our survival. And it's difficult to head this department. Look, I'm not reading your prepared opening statement. Because it's environment protection, but also lodged in your responsibility are natural resources and the exploitation or utilization. So it's really difficult to balance that. So I'd like to get to know all those who are new, heading DMB, heading forest management, and who's in charge of the Manila Bay office. Does it still exist? Does it still exist? Yes, and your implementation of laws. You know, we have so many good laws, but the implementation of Clean Air Act, Clean Water Act, and then the Supreme Court, the mandamos, yeah, and the Supreme Court cases with the water concession. It's forever, yes. So before we turn to the numbers, we must acknowledge one painful truth, that we are at a point where data is almost unnecessary to tell us how bad things have become. Floods are more frequent, and we know that. And these are caused by natural hazards and by substandard or ghost projects, which should not happen. Storms are harsher, and we know that, brought about by climate change. And droughts are longer, and these are brought about um, by climate change. We acknowledge the presence of our chair of the Committee on Finance, Senator Sherwin Gatchalian. So those who feel it most are farmers whose fields have turned to dust, families whose homes are flooded again and again, and children who breathe the smoke of our collective neglect. Oh, I failed to mention NAMRIA is an agency under you, right? Attached, yes. So we'd like to see NAMRIA and your updated reports or data. So climate change is the conscience in our time and is humanity's greatest test of leadership. To fail this test amounts to the cessation of human existence. While there will always be things beyond our control, we must answer for what lies within our hands. The choices we make today are the ultimate test of our accountability, our stewardship, and our vision for the environment. I will no longer read this long draft. Thank you to my staff who tried to do an opening statement. I would like to welcome all of you and note that when we ask questions, when we seemingly are upset or angry or probing, it is for everyone's benefit because we want to learn and understand what you are doing. Been sitting here since 1998 and things have not improved. They've become worse. So we're all collectively responsible for that. You and I, all of us. And we've failed our people. We've failed the Filipinos because it's flooding even more, because it's warmer, because people are not even resilient despite the fact that we have the laws, because people still do not believe or do not understand, because people do not segregate garbage at source, recycle, and compost, because people throw their garbage in open dumps which still exist, which is unlawful since 2006, since we implemented or we enacted the law in 2001. No, I don't want to hear DNR to say later that it's not our job because it's really LGU, etc. And the LGUs will say because we don't have the funds for an MRF. I mean, the whole cycle. So I'm just setting an example. And then I don't want to hear again that the air that we breathe, we cannot monitor. And just now, I opened my window, ang kakapal ng mga usok, not usok, dust, etc. Then I'm sure I will hear again, how many monitoring stations? Sira, hindi na maintain kasi walang MOE. The same story every year for 25 years. But I'm gifted with one thing. Maybe that's my only gift. Patience, perseverance, unrelenting passion. So I'm with you. Pagtsagaan natin. Even if seemingly we have failed our people. Even if seemingly we're hopeless, I refuse to give up. And we have beautiful, wonderful laws. Help me, help us implement it. But we need your expertise. We need your cooperation and support. Yes. So having said that, I request our chair to make his opening statement. Senator Sherwin, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Greetings to Secretary Lutilia. And I mentioned this before that the transfer of Secretary Lutilia is a great loss to the energy sector. Madam Chair, si Secretary Lutilia, because I've worked with him in the energy front when I was the chairman of the Energy Committee. But a great addition to the environmental department. And I think he can bring in both expertise in the energy sector and now fuse it with the environmental concerns and environmental directions of our country. One of the things that I filed here in the Senate is the net zero target by 2025, and a big chunk of that comes from the energy sector. So in the quest of achieving net zero, specifically by the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, your knowledge in the energy sector will come into play to that effect. So, Madam Chair, we're ready to hear the budget presentation of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, and we'll hear to make sure that the department is well equipped with the tools that they need, especially with resources that they need in order to fulfill their mandate, especially in achieving net zero at one point.
I'm glad that the chair had mentioned about net zero because we don't even have a plan for net zero. It's not even an aspiration. And I don't think the DNR or the DOE or any agency of government has a plan for net zero. Singapore, yan, hinaharap niyo dalawang Lee Kuan Yew fellows, has 2050 net zero. And that is the reason why they have the carbon credit trade, because they are land constrained and they don't have the shift to renewable energy because they don't have the sources or the resources for that. And that is the reason why they need to buy carbon credits from the Philippines, which is which we should take advantage of, because other ASEAN nations too, I think, have signed for that. Vietnam and Thailand, is it? And we should have the legal mechanism for that. We don't even have a net zero plan. We will, I hope. We have to hear it. And our NDCs, our NDC, 75%, that's not even ambitious. Some people will say, masyadong ambitious. No, because it's conditional. It's 75% if we are helped. Kung di tayo tulungan, at walang Green Climate Fund, walang Adaptation Fund, hindi. Yung unconditional, ilang porsyento lang? 2? Ilan yung conditional? 2 nga. So 2% lang ang hindi conditional. The rest are unconditional. Pag walang binigay sa atin, wala tayo. So ano ba naman tong bansang ito? Bakit lang Singapore kaya mag-net zero till 2050 and they're really strict about it? That's why they have the carbon credit, and that is also why they have the carbon tax of 5 Singapore dollars nagsimula, and then now it's 25 Singapore dollars for industry and for residential. Of course, kaya nila kasi sabi natin mayaman sila kasi maliit lang sila. But of course, I'd like to hear, we should have a plan. We should have a vision for net zero. Yes. Okay. So I'm glad we have a secretary who came from energy, who's now in environment. But it's a great challenge. And because those facing us today, the USECs, are mostly career. And I told them before you arrived, Mr. Chair, that I've been sitting here in 1998, since 98, and they've been sitting across me as well. So I feel frustrated sometimes that collectively we are responsible for what's happening now, or maybe we have not done enough, although we are in policy making and not in implementation. But okay, I'll pause my rant and I will listen to the budget. Thank you. Could we just, could you read into the record the presence of everyone? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Chair. For today's budget briefing, we would like to acknowledge the presence of the following resource persons. We have the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, headed by Secretary Rafael P.M. Lutilia. Joining Secretary Lutilia are the following officials: Undersecretary for Legal and Administration, Attorney Ernesto Adobo Jr., Undersecretary for Finance, Information Systems, and Climate Change, Attorney Annalisa Rebeltate, Undersecretary for Policy, Planning, and International Affairs, Attorney Jonas Leones, Undersecretary for Field Operations Mindanao, and Supervising Undersecretary for MGB and EMB Mindanao, USEC Jocelyn Marcos Fragada, Undersecretary for Organizational Transformation and Human Resources, USEC Augusto de la Peña, Undersecretary for Integrated Environmental Science, Dr. Carlos Primo David, Assistant Secretary for Legal Affairs and Enforcement, Attorney Norlito Eneran, OIC Assistant Secretary for Environment and Concurrent Director of the EMB, ASEC Jacqueline Caancan, Assistant Director of the Mines and Geosciences Bureau, Choderico Sandoval, We also have Attorney Emeline V. Talabis, Director of the Land Management Bureau, Attorney Ray Thomas Cabigting, Assistant Director of the Forestry Management Bureau, and we have Assistant Director Mariglo Laririt of Biodiversity Management Bureau. From the National Mapping and Resource Information Authority, or NAMRIA, we have Undersecretary Peter Chanco, Administrator. From the National Water Resources Board, we have Attorney Ricky Arzadon, OIC Executive Director. From the Palawan Council for Sustainable Development staff, we have Attorney Teodoro Jose Mata, Executive Director. From the Laguna Lake Development Authority, we have Engineer Leopoldo Parumog, General Manager. From the Local Water Utilities Administration, we have Attorney Jose Moises Salonga, Administrator. From the Metropolitan Waterworks and Sewerage System, we have Attorney Patrick Lester T, Chief Regulator. From the River Basin Control Office, we have Mr. Sevilio David Jr., Executive Director. We also have from the Manila Bay Coordinating Office, Mr. Jacob Memban Jr., Executive Director. We also have a representative from the Philippine Space Agency. We have Dr. Gay Jane Perez, Deputy Director General for Space Science and Technology. And we are also joined by the Climate Change Commission. We have Vice Chairperson and Executive Director Robert E. A. Borja and Commissioner Albert P. De La Cruz. From the Department of Budget and Management, we have Director Gemma Ilagan. That would be all, Madam Chair. Thank you.
May we see the presentation, please? Thank you. And I would think this would be the Office of the Secretary first and then the attached agencies.
Thank
Yes.
you, Madam
Thank you.
Chair. Mr. Chairman, honorable members of the committee, isang makakalikasang pagbati sa ating lahat. For 2026, the DNR is respectfully requesting a total budget of 28.102 billion pesos. This proposed budget in support of the environment means investing in water supply and governance, forest protection and development, biodiversity conservation, improvements in air, land, water quality, and mineral resources development to ensure food, energy, water, and human security. We share the aspirations that have been expressed by the chair for the environment and our natural resources, and that this is a responsibility that is not only residing in the department and its attached agencies, but one where we have to work with the entire country and with all sectors in order to realize their sustainable development. The DNR remains committed to a science-based, systems-oriented, and integrated ecosystem management approach to policy development and program implementation. As the chair previously indicated, there are areas where there are still many areas where there needs to be improvement, but working with Congress and the other agencies, there are also some noticeable improvements. So insofar as forest cover, the improvement from 2010 to 2020 has been a 5.66% increase. And the NAMRIA is scheduled to release the new or the updated land cover report for 2025. And we anticipate an even more positive report insofar as forest cover is concerned. And on particulate matter, there has been also considerable improvements that have been recorded. And between 2017 to 2024 nationwide, the total suspended particulates improved by 42%. And in Metro Manila,
Sorry,
yes.
admin matter. We don't see the PowerPoint here.
No, not yet, Madam
Not
Chair.
yet. Wala
Yes,
pa.
I'm
Okay.
just
It's an
responding
opening
to
statement.
yes, but
Okay.
I'd like to set as that working with you and with other stakeholders, there have been improvements. Nevertheless, there is still much to be done, as you have indicated.
Okay. You mentioned about forest cover. Please
Yes.
proceed from there.
Yes, so later, Madam Chair, we can discuss the details, but just to note that at least in these two areas, there have been considerable improvements. But of course, these have been achieved over time and not overnight. So given the scale and complexity of our mandate, we respectfully seek the continued support of this honorable committee in advancing our mission to protect, conserve, and sustainably manage the country's environment and natural resources. At this point, Madam Chair, Mr. Chairman, may we request your kind attention for a brief audiovisual presentation highlighting the department's accomplishments and key features of our 2026 budget proposal. And there are a number of slides on the budget utilization rate and the funding requests which will be presented by Undersecretary
Yeah.
Te.
How long is the video? Because what we'd like to
It's
see
very short.
is the budget
Yes.
of the OSEC, the regions, the agencies, bureaus, and the attached agencies. Because if it's the usual,
Around 10 minutes, Madam Chair.
would you like to see the video? Okay, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Please proceed.
Honorable members of the 20th Congress, respectfully presenting the proposed budget of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources for fiscal year 2026. Covering its mandate of conserving and sustainably managing 15.8 million hectares of forest lands, 36,000 kilometers of coastline, and 7.2 million hectares of forest cover, the department is entrusted with a challenging yet vital responsibility. As one of the world's most megadiverse countries, the Philippines is home over to 5,000 plant species and 100,000 animal species. The DENR's priority thrusts and directions transect the different sectors on forestry, protected areas and biodiversity, water, environment, mining, and lands, and how climate change affect these ecosystems. Policy formulation and program implementation are aligned with the National Adaptation Plan to address the vulnerabilities of these sectors. In line with the Philippine Ecosystem and Natural Capital Accounting System Act, the DENR developed site-specific ecosystem accounts for pilot areas with the National Natural Resources Geospatial Database, providing in-depth analysis and modeling of environmental data towards developing NCA information system. For protected area development and management, drones and other equipment were acquired to support monitoring and enforcement, including operationalization of protected area management offices. Urban green space inventories and assessments were carried out. Around 1.63 billion pesos was generated from operations in protected areas. The Philippine Biodiversity Strategy and Action Plan was adopted. Almost 7,000 hectares of protected areas were planted, and more than 12,000 hectares were maintained. For 2026, at least 10,000 hectares of denuded areas will be assessed for restoration, and 120 protected areas will be monitored, while assessment of tenurial instruments will continue. For the management of coastal and marine resources and areas, we continue to strengthen the existing marine protected area network and support coastal communities through biodiversity-friendly enterprises and look forward to sustaining and scaling up our activities in 2026 to strengthen ocean environment's policy and governance. Relative to the protection and conservation of wildlife, continuing strengthening of habitat restoration, captive breeding, and wildlife law enforcement are being implemented to improve the status of threatened species. Conservation plans were developed for 5 key species with over 124,000 hectares of tamaraw habitat placed under protection. For 2026, 12 critical habitats will be managed, while 70 wildlife rescue centers will be maintained. For the Palawan Council for Sustainable Development, activities include the issuance of Strategic Environmental Plan Clearance, Integrated Water Source Management. A project for alternative water source development through subsurface flow was initiated, with implementation targeted in 7 water districts or barangays in 2026. Desalination systems and freshwater filtration systems were installed. These will be expanded to 36 small barangays in 2026. establishment of 10 groundwater monitoring wells and 9 aquifer recharge facilities will be expanded to different areas in 2026. For the Climate Change and Resiliency Program, LGUs in 18 climate vulnerable provinces are being capacitated on climate risk analytics and development of investment portfolio for risk resilience to drive climate action and reduce losses and damages. On air quality management, air sheds were operationalized and air quality monitoring stations were installed. For 2026, 9 monitoring stations with additional air quality parameters will be procured as part of modernizing our air quality monitoring. 83 water bodies were already classified to improve water quality management. Water quality monitoring in 4 green economy model sites showed compliance with the water quality standards for recreation activities. Monitoring of 343 priority water bodies will be pursued in 2026. The continuing rehabilitation of the Manila Bay under the Mandamus ruling of 2008 involves strengthening of monitoring of water quality parameters in 58 sampling stations, operating 4 sewage treatment plants, and constructing 2 additional STPs in Baywalk and Maypaho in 2026. Through these initiatives, reports indicate a significant reduction in fecal coliform levels at bathing beaches, dropping by 94.87% in the second quarter of 2025 from 2019 level. At Dolomite Beach, levels decreased by 99.95% from 2020 compared to the second quarter of 2025. Pasig River rehabilitation involves monitoring of water quality and physical conditions of the main Pasig River and its 3 major and 46 minor tributaries through its 157 monitoring stations. Other continuing activities include 3 phytoremediation projects with the barangays, rehabilitation of 8 linear parks, and delineation of easement areas. Implementation of the law on extended producers' responsibility showed submission of EPR programs by 991 obliged enterprises. Out of 286 million kilograms of rigid plastics, 67 million kilograms or 24% were diverted. For flexible plastics, out of 222 million kilograms, 101 million kilograms or 46% were diverted. For 2026, we will continue to review and evaluate the registered EPR programs and provide capacity enhancement to these registered entities. On the provision of technical assistance, we will continue to assist LGUs in assessing their solid waste management and in clustering for common sanitary landfills. On mineral resources development, the rare earth elements exploration project were completed. Around 700 in 2024 and 400 in 2025 mining rights were monitored for compliance with work programs and other regulatory requirements and assessed for adherence to safety, health, environment, and social development programs. For 2026, the MGB plans to conduct assessments in 3 areas for offshore critical and strategic minerals. Geohazard mapping and vulnerability assessment in several cities and municipalities were undertaken to assist LGUs on disaster risk reduction and management. In 2026, vulnerability assessments, karst subsidence, hazard evaluations, groundwater resource assessments, and coastal physical vulnerability assessments and mapping in LGUs will be conducted. The MGB Operations Center will be operating 24/7 to assist to generate geohazard threat advisories for at-risk barangays as input to pre-disaster risk assessment of the NDRRMC. In support of enhancing integrity of our maritime zones and safety and security of our marine territories, NAMRIA will continue to undertake comprehensive surveys of the exclusive economic zones and archipelagic waters, each spanning 3,000 and 1,000 square kilometers respectively throughout the year 2026. For fiscal year 2024, the DENR obtained a budget utilization rate of 93% for obligations and 91% for disbursements. As of June 2025, BUR stands at 49% for obligations and 70% for disbursements, reflecting ongoing budget execution and catch-up measures in the second half of the year. For fiscal year 2026, DENR's proposed budget is 28.102 billion pesos, of which 20.5 billion pesos will be allocated for the central office, staff bureaus and regional offices, 3.3 billion pesos for the Environmental Management Bureau, 1.8 billion pesos for the Mines and Geosciences Bureau, 1.9 billion pesos for the NAMRIA, 294 million pesos for MWRB, and 148 million for Palawan Council for Sustainable Development staff. Nature and environment are our lifeline to create a more climate resilient and sustainable economy to uplift the conditions of the Filipino people. Let us invest on nature and environment to spur economic development. The DENR appeals for the approval of its budget proposal. Thank you.
Madam Chair, Mr. Chairman, may I request the Undersecretary Ted to present the additional numbers as requested by the committee. Thank you.
Sir, Madam Chair,
Tid.
if we may,
For that, this is a local but a national issue as well. Since you come from Antique, Secretary Lutilia, I'd like to know, I saw in the news the other day that Antique was recommended as a nuclear energy site. Just to put it on record, I am not in favor of that. And I think the provincial government will not be in favor. And many or most, if not all, of our Kasimanwas will not be in favor. I was just wondering, was that during your time in DNR or DOE? Why is it among several areas or districts or provinces cited for a nuclear site? Of all places, why our province binaba tayo, may bundok tayo, may mga katutubo tayo? Why is that?
Yeah, Madam Chair, there's an interagency committee on the nuclear program, and chaired by DOE, but it has been conducting studies on siting. So these are sites that those which were identified when we first built our nuclear power plant in Bataan. And then in addition, they've been looking at other areas as well. So I am not updated on the announcement that includes Antique. But what we have identified from the DNR standpoint, of course, is that if the government, and that's through Congress, does move ahead with the nuclear power, that that before such permits can be issued, then there has to be an ECC that has to be issued by the Department of Environment and Natural Resources. And to be able to conduct the ECC in accordance with international standards, then we will have to build up the capacity within our Environmental Management Bureau to be able to respond to that challenge. Thank you.
Secretary, before the presentation, may I know which government agency studied our 81 provinces and included Antique in the less than 10 provinces where a nuclear power plant will be cited? Because I never heard of Antique being cited until a few days ago when I saw it in the news. It came as a shock. And just put it on record, I am not in favor, and I am not alone. I will block it every step of the way. Whichever government agency is studying it, do not waste your time and your resources. And I will oppose your budget.
Thank you, Chair.
Kung sinong ahensya ang nagmungkahi. Thank you.
Madam Chair, there is the Nuclear Energy Program Interagency Committee that's chaired by the Department of Energy, but it has several members, and one of the leading members for identifying suitable sites is our FIVOX. So which is among the agencies that are involved there. So what we will do is we will find out more from the NEPIAC and the DOE on the details of this report and provide you with the details as well. Thank you.
So Secretary, when you were in DOE, you were not familiar with our province being proposed as a nuclear site.
Not in detail, Madam Chair, because what they had was just a survey of all over the country of what are the suitable sites. So I have had no access to the specific studies that came up with the Antique as one of the possible sites.
May I request the DNR to submit to the committee the interagency study, and how do we get a commitment from the DNR that you will not approve an ECC for Antique for a nuclear site? I can speak for the people. They will not approve any nuclear facility in our province. You know that binabaha tayo, may katutubo, may yamang lupa, pero hindi dapat dun at hindi bagay. Hindi kailangan pag-isipan sa siyensya. Hindi papayag ang mga tao.
Well, we can assure you, Madam Chair, that we will make sure that the interagency nuclear energy program interagency committee will take into account all of the science involved. We don't know the details at this point, so I would not want to preempt. But in the past, there have been proposals, for example, for other energy-related facilities in the northern part of the province of Antique. But if I recall that at the end they decided not to place depots and so on because of at the time there were, I
It's a
think,
protected area.
Yeah.
That's a Northwest Panay
Yes.
Peninsula,
Yes.
an Inipas area. We
Right.
have biodiversity there.
Yes.
Yes.
Even before the declaration of a protected area there were what is this? At that time there were considerations regarding fault lines and so on. So I will have to revisit
So I
those.
just wanted that clarification since we come from the same province. It was not during your watch in DOE and now in DNR that suddenly Antique is in the news being recommended as a nuclear facility site. Hindi po kayo ang nagmungkahi,
No,
and you are not in favor or will study the science, or are you holding your decision, withholding? I just have to say that I am not in favor, and I was shocked to say the least when I saw Antique being named. And may I kindly appeal to the DNR not to study it further, to just take it out. Hindi po, it will not fly. Do not waste money for consultant studies, etc. Hindi po. Hindi papayag.
well noted,
Yes.
Madam Chair.
Thank you very
Yes.
much. And I would request the DNR, whatever it can get together, how the studies came about, because no one was consulted there. Yeah. Thank you. We proceed. I hope you don't mind my bringing that in open hearing so that it's on the record. Yes, because you came from DOE and you're now in DNR. These are the two agencies that are involved among the many for a possible nuclear facility, which I state once again, I am against it. I will fight it. I will oppose it. And the people will not be in favor, at least for Antique. The others, I'm willing to listen. My colleagues, some of them are pro-nuclear, and I keep an open mind. We see, depende kung saan, anong klase, but the way Filipinos generally speaking, do things. We need to be more safety conscious and do more complete staff work. And we have so many hazards, risks, and vulnerabilities. Okay, so I think I made it very clear. We proceed now to the presentation of USECTE. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So out of the 28 billion being requested for 2026, what you can see on the screen is the breakdown according to the major programs. The highest share is for the Enhanced National Greening Program for about 10 billion pesos, or 37% of the total budget for major programs. Then we have the Enhanced Biodiversity Conservation, composed of the Protected Area
Teka
Development.
po. Itong 10.4 billion, bakit nakasuma total yan? These are all, what are these? Tapos
For
1.6, ito yung NGP. What's the 10.4? Why
Yung-
did you put it together under 10.4?
ito po yung total for all the major programs that
Major
were,
programs. Okay.
So
You mean outside of this, when you say major programs, outside of this, and anyone can answer, not just Anna, but SEC or any of the directors. When you say major programs, outside of 1, 2, 3, this, we don't have any other programs?
ma'am, there's a second slide which will show the other programs po.
Okay,
Yes,
sige,
ma'am.
proceed.
Yeah.
So you've 1.6 for the NGP.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chair, you may ask and interrupt me anytime and ask questions in your areas of interest, please. Okay, enhanced NGP. Yes,
Yes.
kindly explain kasi we can go one by one, but we'd like to be enlightened. As I said, this started during the time of SECPAHE. For those who are new in this room, and some of these kids, staff are new, what was the original intention of the National Greening Program? I recall a secretary, kasi ang dami nung dumaan nun, once said, it is not a reforestation program. Ang sinasabi nila nun, it is a livelihood program. Pakipaliwanag, kung hindi yan reforestation, pero nagtatanim tayo ng mga puno at ng mangroves, ano siya? So what was the original, ayan, Jonas, you were there long ago. What was the original program of the National Greening Program? Anong taon ba yan? Aquino administration pa yan eh. At magkano na, mula sa simula hanggang ngayon, magkano na ang NGP? At sa suma total ng NGP, ano ang mangroves, ano ang forests, at ano ang inyong hindi planted, ano ang tumubo? And because it is not considered a reforestation program, what is it? Livelihood. Correct me if I'm wrong, because in previous hearings, we would always be corrected when we think and when we say that it is a reforestation program. And if it is not, I was also told long ago that it is not the DNR that does the reforestation, but of course, private sector and people's organizations. Unless dito dinadaan ng pera na pambayad sa mga POs na nagre-reforest. So gusto kong maintindihan yan. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. For the details of the costings, I'll be referring this to the FMB. But for the objectives, just to clarify, Madam Chair, that NGP is also a reforestation. But aside from reforestation, this will address the other objectives. One is to address climate change impacts, providing livelihoods and reforestation. So it means that unlike other reforestation in the past, that purely reforestation by administration, but in this case, it is now a multiple objectives, which includes reforestation. So
Year was this started?
it started in during the time of President Aquino, 2011.
Okay,
So
so
at that time, Madam Chair, the
sabi
objective,
sa amin nun, ilang years lang eh. For 15 years na kayo.
during the time NGP, the original plan there, Madam Chair, is that we're aiming at planting 1.5 billion seedlings in 1.5 million hectares. But before the end of the Pinoy's administration, it was expanded through an EO. that is the reason why it was called enhanced NGP, because at the time there's still a lot of barren areas that needs to be regreened, Madam Chair.
2011. This is for the 2026, 15 years. I remember I was asking the same questions
Yeah.
in 2011. And you had the plan then. Could you kindly show us the plan then and the accomplishment report? And can you give us now, please, how much total funds have been given every year, suma total, including this ask for the 2026 budget?
Yeah. Madam Chair, for the
Mm-mm.
figures of the costing since 2011 until 2024, I'll be refer-
Total allocated,
allocated
Yes.
every year. Maybe I will be requesting.
not every year, total already allocated. Thank you.
I'll refer to you, Sec. Anand.
Madam Chair, for 2011 to 2025, we have already allocated 1.8 billion pesos for
From the
total
first year
is-
of the National Greening Program until the 1.6 billion NEP provision for 2026, so 15 years, ilan na po, magkano na po ang linagay sa National Greening Program at ano po ang katumbas na bundok na naitanim at mangroves na itanim at kung ano pang iba.
So Madam Chair, for under NGP, we have from 2011 to 2016, we have allocated 32 billion pesos. Under enhanced NGP from 2017 to 2025, we have allocated additional 28 billion pesos, so a total of 60 billion pesos, Madam Chair. This translated to 2.2 million hectares planted and about 1.8 million hectares, 1.8 million seedlings planted, Madam Chair.
When you say 2.2 million hectares planted, bundok po ito, kapatagan, mangroves. Kasama na ang marine dito? Or are these all bundok? And when you say 1.8 million seedlings, what kind of seedlings? Are they native tree seedlings? Are they mangrove seedlings?
Madam Chair, for the NGP, we devote much this amount to the forest areas, and we used seedlings both, if applicable, the indigenous species, but normally we plant some like for example mahogany, nara, amongst fast-growing species. So these are the plants, but as we progress with the NGP, especially in the enhanced greening program, we are now using now the indigenous species or native species, Madam
Sandali.
Chair.
Ito po'y bundok lahat. Forest lang. Hindi ba nyo kinoconsider ang mangrove na forest?
Meron.
Mangroves are considered forests of the sea.
Madam Chair, to be
Yes.
accurate,
I know that the NGP includes mangroves. Sigurado ako.
yes,
Kasi may taon na tinignan po natin, tapos natuklasan natin na tanim na mangrove, maski may mangrove, tapos seagrass bed, tanim pa rin ng mangrove. Kaya yun ang gusto kong tanungin, kung ganun pa rin ba yung pagkakamali nun.
yes, Madam
So to
Chair.
say that the NGP only plants in mountain areas where there are forests, I think is inaccurate.
Yeah. Madam Chair, I'm sorry for that. We base our plantation based on the commodity, Madam Chair. You're correct, Madam Chair, that we are under our NGP. We're also planting not only mangrove forest species, but also bamboo and other agroforestry crop, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, may I ask Assistant Director Kabingking?
Yes, I just want to know. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Yusek Leones. 32 plus 28, 60 billion. 2.2 million hectares. Sa 2.2 million hectares po, ano ang bundok na forest, ano ang marine? Yun lang gusto ko malaman. At kung meron pang iba, kung sa wetlands, ano ang ginagawa nyo doon? Sa 1.8 million na seedlings nyo, ito ba sa lahat na, sa bundok at sa marine? At ano ang growth rate? Nagtanim. Paano natin alam na tumubo? At ano ang inyong monitoring na science-based na tumubo? Drone? And how do we know? We keep on, 60 billion already. How do we know there are no ghost plantations or ghost seedlings or areas. I'm not charging anyone with ghosts. Ibig sabihin na naitanim, namatay lahat. O survival rate, yes. So we have to know that. Yes. And what is the proof? Because a report can be a report. Yeah. And mali nung secretary, kanino yung oversight na yan? The regional directors, the PENROS, the SENROS, the POs that you partner with. And please give us a list of the people's organizations who are accredited with the DNR in every region and in every province who are recipients of grants, partnerships, who do the planting for you. Because obviously, it's not the DNR plantilla personnel who do this. The funds just are allocated for you, but you have MOAs with people's organizations. And these people's organizations, who are they? We want to see them. We want to have a list from Cordillera to Barm, from Region 2 to Region to Caraga, to know all the people's organizations, to see them, that they exist, and we want to know the work that they've been doing for the past 15 years. Yeah, thank you.
Assistant Director Kabigting of the Forest Management Bureau.
Madam Chair, good morning po.
Recognize, may I see your name, please?
Um,
Attorney Ray
Ray Thomas
Cabigting.
Cabigting.
Okay.
Madam
FMB,
Chair,
who's the head of FMB now?
Forest Management Bureau, ma'am.
Yes, sino po ang head ngayon?
There is no appointed director yet. So the assistant director is the one exercising.
Who was the previous head?
Yes, retired.
Assistant Secretary Arlie Adorable, ma'am. He retired last March 3,
Mm,
2025.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, to answer your question, so I'd just like to reiterate the correct amount from 2011 to 2025. We've already been allotted around 60 billion pesos, which covers 2.2 million hectares. And you are correct also, Madam Chair, that mangrove and beach forests are included in the National Greening Program. As of 2025, we already have a total of 14,800 hectares planted with mangroves and 77,900 hectares planted with mangrove and beach forest species. For the areas that are eligible, ma'am, for Madam Chair, for the National Greening Program, these are legally classified forest lands, which includes mountains and low-lying areas that are legally classified forest lands, but with special focus on denuded and degraded forest areas, ma'am.
Of the 2.2 million, only 14,000 are mangroves.
Yes, ma'am. 14,800, ma'am, and 77,900 hectares for beach forests, ma'am. So these are part of your coastal areas.
And all the rest
And
are
all the rest, ma'am, are within
uplands,
uplands po, legally classified forest lands po within the terrestrial zones po.
ilan ba natitira natin na primary forest?
Our forest cover right now, ma'am, is 7.2 million hectares.
That's
That's 24%, ma'am, of the land
no.
cover.
Yung talagang natitira, yung totoo. Yung natitirang primary forest, yung totoo. It's not 7.8, it's less than 1 million hectares. The remaining primary forest. Don't say what is old growth. Old growth primary forest. Okay, diba? 30 million hectares, diba? 30 million. Okay. Every year we do this. 30 million hectares. Of the 30 million hectares, iba yung designated na forest, ha? Iba yung totoong standing forest. Of the 30 million hectares, ilan po ang designated forest land?
The legally classified forest lands, ma'am, out of the 30 million is 15 million
15. Ayan
hectares.
na naman, para tayong panahon ni Pahay ganyan din. Okay,
Yes,
15 million. Sa 15 million po, ilan ang old growth primary forest remaining as of last survey, and what kind of science did you use for that survey? Dapat meron tayo.
As of 2020, ma'am, land cover, we were able to survey 2.2 million hectares of closed forests, which are your primary forests, ma'am. That's around 7.4%.
Okay. So 2.2 million ang closed. When
Closed
you say
forest, ma'am.
closed,
Clo-
these are old growth
Yes, ma'am.
or primary.
With a canopy cover of more than 40%, ma'am.
Okay. Are you sure?
Yes, ma'am. This is also the data from our NAMRIA, ma'am.
From NAMRIA.
Yes, ma'am.
2.2 million of the 15 million which is legally forest but it's not. So
Yes.
2.2 million.
Yes, ma'am.
Ano po ang secondary forest?
Ang secondary po natin or yung tinatawag natin open forest, ma'am, is around 4.6 million hectares, ma'am, as of 2020.
Why is it that in previous years, DNR would give me another figure of primary forest? They would say less than 1 million remaining. Anyway, so I'll believe you. You're a forester. That's 2.2 million of closed canopy primary forest.
Yes, ma'am.
And this was in 2020.
2020, ma'am.
2020 figures. And then the secondary forest would be 4.6 million.
Yes, ma'am.
And we're only talking here of bundok. We're not talking about mangrove forest. No, we're talking about
I do have the numbers for mangrove forest also, ma'am.
let's do this first. 2.2 and 4.6. When you started the NGP in 2011, what was the primary or old growth forest and the secondary? And did you measure it then? And yeah, and your last monitoring was 2020.
Yes, ma'am.
So may we know has it improved?
It has, ma'am.
Yes, of
In
course you'll say that because otherwise
No, but
yeah,
in
nobody will-
2010,
yes.
ma'am. In
Mhm.
2010, ma'am, the closed forest was around 1.9 million hectares. For the open forest, it's around 4.5 million hectares. And the mangrove forests were only about 310,000 hectares in 2010. So in 2015, when NAMRIA did the land cover mapping again, we have now a closed forest of 2 million hectares, open forest of 4.6 million hectares, and 303,000 hectares for mangrove forests.
What percentage of our forest cover you don't plant in old growth, right? You don't plant in old growth or in primary forest. You plant in secondary.
Yes, ma'am.
So our efforts in government cannot be attributed to the 2.2 million. You don't touch that.
It can still, ma'am, because forest protection is still there.
Protection.
For
But
forest
I'm
protection
talking
program.
about the national greening program.
The planting, ma'am.
The planting and the growing, is that part of the 4.6? Are you planting
They're in
and
the
growing outside of the 4.6 million secondary growth? Do you actually plant elsewhere, which are not on the 4.6?
No, ma'am. We tend to the target the main target is to actually close this open forest, ma'am, so that they can
So
have
we
a
want
more
to understand, all the 60 billion pesos, tanggalin mo yung mangroves, did they go to the secondary forests?
Yes, ma'am. They did.
And what kind of species did you plant in the secondary forest? Because I heard mahogany. Why will you plant mahogany
Yes,
in the
ma'am.
secondary forests?
So mahogany and other fast growing species, ma'am, were planted as primary species to actually repair and rehabilitate the soil so that it can also provide shade for the indigenous species, ma'am, will be planted as climax species or the final species that will be planted in your reforestation site. Kasi po pag po hindi tayo nag-provide, pag po hindi natin rehabilitate yung soil at hindi po tayo nag-provide ng shade for these indigenous species, they will not grow, ma'am. So those were the forest management techniques that we applied, ma'am.
So how are we able to monitor all these 60 billion? Saan po sa 4.6 million? This is not hectares. Yeah, hectares.
It's hectares.
Yes. Could you explain? Kasi we just see numbers eh. Where in the 4.6 million hectares under the Enhanced National Greening Program did you utilize the budgets all this year, and what kind of improvement in our forest cover ensued?
Yes, ma'am. For the mapping and the monitoring of the national greening programs, we'll be happy to share, ma'am, the maps that we have with us right now. But for the increase in forest cover, as what the secretary mentioned earlier, ma'am, actually, from 2015 to 2020, if I can start for 5 years prior, our closed forest increased by 9%. And our open forest, well, there was an increase in open forest by just 0.2%, ma'am. And our mangrove forest increased also by 2%. So meron naman po tayo nakikita increase, and for the specific areas where the NGP was planted on, ma'am, we do have the complete maps for that one. We'll be sending it to you, ma'am. And one final point, ma'am. We are doing a satellite land monitoring system right now, not only for Red Plus, but also to monitor these reforestation efforts that we have. So you will see there at the trend of land use and land cover change na sumusunod po sa base map natin from NAMRIA, and using the latest satellite imagery, ma'am, you will be able to see their trends from one point in time to another point in time para po makita niyo yung changes, ma'am.
Is it the Forest Management Bureau that's the lead for the NGP?
Yes. it is.
Have you been with this program since 2011?
Yes, ma'am.
You've been in charge since 2011.
No, ma'am. I was part of the Forest Management Bureau in 2013, and I assumed the post, ma'am, as assistant director last year.
But you're familiar with the NGP, and so you're not new in
No,
the
ma'am.
DNR.
I was an extension officer, ma'am, in 2013.
And everything you're telling us is monitored by the NAMRIA.
The land cover, yes, ma'am.
Yes. And you would be able to tell us, would you have, we will go to the others. You'll be able to show us on a slide the areas covered by the NGP since you're in charge. The areas, so that we understand, sa Sierra Madre, sa Cordillera, syempre, gusto namin makita saan ang mga tinanim, saan ang reforestation efforts ng DNR, and what is the growth or the survival rate?
For the maps, Madam Chair, I'd like to defer to NAMRIA. But for the survival rate, ma'am, the average survival rate from 2011 to 2024 is 77%, ma'am.
Mataas yun. How?
That's also the reason, ma'am, why this year we are just finalizing, ma'am, the third-party assessment for the National Greening Program, so that the survival rate and the data does not come from the Forest Management Bureau or the DNR.
But you should not be planting mahogany.
And ma'am,
Bakit sino man nagturo sa inyo ng mahogany? Bakit mahogany? Dapat Philippine species. Bakit ba ganun? Ang National Greening Program, mahogany ang tinatanim. Bakit ganun? Hindi naman ako forester, pero alam ko hindi dapat mahogany.
Madam Chair, as
Yung
mentioned,
forester nga sa UP Los Baños, nagagalit hindi naman nagalit. Sa farm ko, bakit ako tayong mahogany? Kasi invasive yan sa pinaputol ko nga yung mga mahogany ko pero may permit. At nagtanim na ako kasi yun ang turo nyo sa amin mula pa noon dati 30 years ago Kaya nagkamali ako nagtanim ng mahogany Mali nga Bakit kayo mahogany ng mahogany?
yeah.
Hindi naman yan indigenous sa atin No, I want the forester to answer because there must be a reason. I want this young forester. I want him to teach me and convince me to plant mahogany.
I'll try my best, Madam Chair. So, during the first response, ma'am, I tried to explain that it is a silvicultural method, ma'am, or ito po ay paraan ng pagtatanim, ma'am. Kasi yung mga tinaniman po natin, ma'am, na lugar, denuded na ho at degraded. Yung lupa po niyan, kapag po tinaniman natin yan ng indigenous or endemic natin, ma'am, shade loving po kasi mga endemic natin, ma'am. So, hindi po yan tutubo kapag may direct sunlight. So, kaya po tayo nagtanim ng mahogany, ng Gmelin, or ng fast-growing natin, ma'am, is number one, to try to rehabilitate and ameliorate the soil, i-repair po yung lupa. Number two, to provide shade for the seedlings that you will introduce as your climax species or your final reforestation species. And third also, ma'am, is to provide also livelihood to the communities, because these exotic species, as you put it, ma'am, these exotic species, they're not meant to be retained as a reforestation, especially if it's in a protection forest or in a forest that you want to keep as standing. Pang production species po kasi ito, mga timber species po kasi ito, ma'am.
So they cut after how many years?
Ang
After
mahogany,
harvest.
ma'am, you can already harvest it after 7 to 8
No,
years.
I know
ma'am.
because I harvested, but you're saying you planted mahogany as part of the 4.6 million hectares in the secondary growth forests.
Sira po kasi, ma'am, yung mga lupa. So kailangan po munang i-rehabilitate, ma'am, yung mga lupa na tatamnan po natin ng final indigenous species. But for national parks, ma'am, and protected areas, we planted indigenous species naman, ma'am.
Yeah, definitely not. O sige, yun na muna.
Thank you, ma'am.
I don't want to use all this time, but I think Jonas wanted to say something. Yeah.
I just want
Yeah.
to tell you the same thing with as mentioned by Director Kabigting. At ang isa pa naging problem dyan, Madam, during that time, we need to fast track all the reforestation, and we had a problem in the provenance of the indigenous species kasi mahirap din po magpatubo ng nursery ng mga indigenous species. So for the meantime, we resort to these species to rehabilitate the area while we are establishing our provenance for the indigenous species. Ngayon, hindi na po ngayon. May mga ganun tayo. Thank you, ma'am.
So,
Secretary, is there a way to, we've talked about this many times, is there a way to monetize this NGP, the National Greening Program? Because we went to the same program in Singapore, and I remember Singapore wants to buy credits, no, because they don't have, obviously they don't have land to plant, no, and we have, no. So the concept there is they will buy credits from countries who can plant trees, who can undergo greening programs, and they will swap it, no. So in other words, we can monetize all of these programs. So we have invested 60 billion. So, but not invested, but if we have spent 60 billion, but if we can monetize it, it's a form of investment that we can sell credits later on. No? Is that a possibility? Is the department looking at that?
Mr. Chairman, definitely this is one of the things that we have been looking at, and Assistant Director Kabigting can give us some more details on the current plans and negotiation.
Assistant Director, in a nutshell, give us a preview of this concept.
Thank you, Senator. What you're trying to point out is called the Red Plus program, or where the government can receive resource-based payment based on its avoidance of deforestation. Right now, sir, there is a set of requirements before the country can announce its Red Plus readiness. Or ibig pong sabihin yan, yung mga global financial institutions po and multi-development partners po can already come in and partner with us for these results-based payments. Right now, sir, the Philippines has completed three of its requirements. We're just awaiting for the satellite land monitoring system, like what I told the good senator earlier, Lauren Legarda, and also the safeguards information system. These two systems will be finished this year, sir. So by 2026, sir, we can already start planning out our Red Plus programs. This is more of a jurisdictional and government-led initiative on how to, as you put it, sir, monetize or give back our investments on these areas. But the other thing, sir, is that we can also encourage voluntary carbon market investments in these forest areas. It's just that we need to prove additionality, because these investors, when they come in, like what the Madam Chairperson mentioned earlier on the Singapore agreement, these investors, when they come in, they should prove that without their investments, the carbon sequestration from these forest areas wouldn't have happened. It's a tricky thing there, sir, and that's what we need to figure out as well, because these are government investments on the ground, and yet the carbon credits would have to be there would have to be a sharing mechanism between the investor and the government, and not only that, with also the communities and the local governments on the ground. So these are the complexities that we're trying to fix now, sir, as soon as possible, hopefully, because we want to maximize also the Philippines' potential to actually produce quality carbon credits because of our standing as one of the mega diverse hotspots and our forest cover improvements also, sir, throughout the years.
Huwag natin pahirapan. The carbon credit trade has been in existence for at least what? Since 98, I've been talking about this, but it was only enshrined Article 6 of the Paris Agreement. So ngayon lang namumulat ang tao kasi nasa Paris Agreement, pero ang tagal na yan. Now, other ASEAN countries have signed with Singapore. Vietnam, is it? And what's the other country?
Vietnam and
Thailand.
Madam Chair.
Tayo daw, sabi ni Minister Grace Fu ng Minister of Trade and Sustainability, ang unang inisip. But it's taking us so long. Not your fault. I also asked Tony about it. Nakapending daw sa inyo. And I was assured matatapos daw this year. Sayang naman. Very valid yung tanong ng chair. How do we monetize it? Not monetize by cutting trees, but monetize the investment that we have put in here, billions and billions in reforestation, in whether highlands or marine, and just approve the legal mechanism to be able to sell or trade the carbon sequestration that ensued because of our investment in that area. Now, I hear you say that kasi hinihingi nila, kung hindi dahil sa investment nila, ay hindi mangyari yun. O marami pa naman denuded areas. Marami pa naman areas kung saan pwedeng magtanim. Marami pa naman mangroves na putol nga ng putol dyan ng mga hindi na natin ma-monitor sa dami ng... yun, para may bantay. Para hindi na rin kayo humihingi ng bilyon-bilyon for NGP. In fact, foreign funding na yon in a way. So, ganun. So, di ba? Ganun. So, you tell us you are in favor of the carbon credit trade because it will spur the local, the domestic economy. It's like an investment. It's a country which is land constrained, that's very ambitious to reach net zero, but cannot because they don't have natural resources. And here we are with 30 million hectares and much, much more in our waters, but we're not even maximizing it, in a way monetizing it by selling the carbon credits, right? So ang inaantay lang natin yung mekanismo na, ayaw ko ano mang special ang Pilipinas na isip tayo ng isip, nahuhuli na tayo na naman. Kailan ba tayo pipirman yan? Chair tayo ng ASEAN next year. Tama, Forester.
Yes, ma'am.
Di ba? May masama ba sa carbon credit?
No, wala,
Bakit
ma'am.
may downside? Convince us.
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Actually, it's in terms of forest investments, ma'am, it's one of the best market system in place. Tama po kayo kasi ang forest investments, ang reforestation is capital intensive. Malaki po talaga yung kailangang gastusing pera dyan. Kaya po kapag nag-forest investments tayo, ma'am, matutulungan not only the government to allocate these resources to something else, but also to encourage market-based mechanisms in forest management. My point earlier, ma'am, on the RED Plus is that, and on carbon credits is that, these are things that are already in place and nahabol na po natin yung RED Plus natin, ma'am. We will be able to finish the systems that are required for us to actually engage in these activities that is on government level And on the voluntary forest carbon side, ma'am, meron na po tayong mga partners ngayon na tumitingin ng feasibility on some of the areas in the country on how to establish forest
Wait.
carbon projects, ma'am.
Understand why Red Plus is not, anong problema ng Red Plus? Problema ba siya sa pag-implement ng carbon
Hindi,
credit rate?
no, ma'am.
Just for the record, Red Plus is reducing emissions from
from
deforestation and forest degradation plus. So
Yes,
Red
ma'am.
Plus,
Yes, ma'am.
okay? This is the UN-backed framework that rewards developing countries for management of our forests.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
how would that's complementary, right?
Yes,
Oh.
they are, ma'am. They
So you
are.
said kasi, sinabi mo, ang problema kasi Red Plus. Paano magiging problema ang Red Plus sa carbon credit?
No, ma'am. Hindi siya problema, ma'am. What I was trying to say is that we can start already, and to answer the question of government of Senator Gatchalian earlier, ma'am, on how the government can monetize the national greening program, I'm leaning more towards on the Red Plus rather than the voluntary carbon markets, because on the voluntary carbon markets, ma'am, there is a specific set of standards for the investor to prove. Yun po yung sinasabi kanina natin. Pero sa Red Plus kasi, ma'am, government-led po talaga yung mga forest carbon initiatives dyan, at makakatanggap po tayo ng results-based payments based on our performance on how we manage and keep this forest standing.
May natanggap na ba tayo sa Red Plus?
Wala pa po, ma'am. Kasi po, yung systems po na requirement, ma'am, ng UNFCCC, ma'am, this year po natin natapos. So, matagal na po siya, ma'am, yan,
Alam niyo, 20
unfortunately.
years na yata yung Red Plus, 30 years? Bakit ganun?
10 pa.
Ha? 10 pala
10
ba?
years, ma'am. Opo.
Ang
Yeah.
palaging, ang eksperto, isa sa mga eksperto sa Red Plus, iba si Tony Lavinia.
Opo.
Yan.
Yes.
We've been talking about this for so long. Ngayon lang natin natapos.
Opo. So,
Huli
ngayon,
naman ng Pilipinas.
ngayon po, meron na po tayo, Madam Chair, na forest reference level natin. Meron na po tayong National Forest Monitoring System. Meron na rin po tayong National Action Plan for Red Plus. Ang inaantay na lang po talaga natin is the Satellite Land Monitoring System, pero patapos na po kami dyan, ma'am.
Because of this, we can already access
Yes.
funding through the UNFCCC, the Green Climate Fund,
Yes,
or
ma'am.
UNCCC
Yes,
sa
ma'am.
Red Plus.
Yes, ma'am.
Pero walang masama na iba-iba.
Pwede,
ang sources,
yes,
right?
diversification din po, ma'am.
Oo.
Pwede rin po
Yung
yun.
Singapore na, nag-aantay sa atin. Okay. When will we sign? When will we sign with Singapore? Nasa inyo, nasa DNR daw eh. Umaangal, no? Put on record.
Senator.
They were complaining about us, we're so slow.
Yeah.
Oh,
Madam
I'll tell you
Chair-
the truth.
Madam
Even the
Chair-
Deputy Prime Minister said it, we're so slow.
Madam Chair, the last year, the President of Singapore came, and that's when they signed an MOU with between the two ministries of environment on the Article 6 implementation agreement. But they did not come back to DNR with a draft until July of July of this year. So it's July of this year. Yeah. So in any case, the target is to finish the negotiations by November. Is it November? By this year, and the signing is targeted during the chairmanship of the Philippines in ASEAN, which is early next year. Yes.
Lang when the summit
Of the implementation agreement.
implementation agreement. Well, just note that the other ASEAN countries had signed already. Yeah. Okay.
Secretary or si Assistant Director, do you have estimated revenues that the country can make out of this concept? Right now kasi all of these activities are expense to us, no? So if we can turn it around and make it revenue for us, then mas magaan in terms of budgeting, no? Ang hirap, to be honest, ang hirap mag-budget dito sa dami ng requirement. So that's why part of our strategy is to generate revenue through our various activities. So have you estimated how much potentially can we generate from this activity? Sir? Anyone, Secretary or?
Sir? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Thank you, Mr. Senator. Top of mind right now, sir, we don't I don't have any revenue projection, but because the market is fluctuating, especially in carbon credits. But we will get back to we'll try our best to develop a revenue projection for forest carbon projects at least.
Give us a feasibility study on this.
Yes, we
You know,
will.
complete with projected revenues, the cost to the government, how much can we earn, how much can we defray the cost or the expense of the National Greening Program. In fact, I saw a documentary. In fact, in advanced countries, you can sell certificates of forest, certificates of people can buy certificates,
Yes.
and the certificates is equivalent of planting trees in
Yes.
certain areas. So it's another way of monetizing again. No? So there's so many financial instruments now to defray the cost. Ang objective natin is to defray the cost. Eh. So we have to look at all of these programs. Kung hindi, ang bigat kasi sa budget itong, maganda siya, but mabigat sa budget. So just submit to us potential concepts, feasibility studies, and let's implement it na. Sama nga si chairperson na matagal na ito. This is nothing new eh. No? So, and when can we see the first revenue coming in for government?
If the I apologize,
No.
Mr. Secretary.
Oh.
If the partners that we have now on the ground, sir, are able to finalize their scoping in the areas, and if we're able to, like what Madam Chairperson said earlier, if we're able to put in the legal framework and mechanisms, say this year, the first crediting will be 5 years from the start of the project. So yun po yung trend pagdating sa carbon crediting. It's first 5 years
Chair,
and 5 years.
yes.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, we must compel the DENR to finish the negotiations with Singapore because this will be the template for the other possible carbon credit trade. It's the low-lying fruit. And Bhutan, Chile, Ghana, Papua New Guinea, Peru, Paraguay, Rwanda, Thailand, Mongolia signed. Ano ba ang ating palaisipan na ayaw natin pumirma? Sino ang focal? Ana, are you the focal? Yes. Are there any challenges that's unconstitutional why we don't want to do it? They've been calling me, even the Minister of Foreign Affairs, si Minister Vivian, Minister Grace Fu. She talked me to lunch. We've been talking. I can call them. They've been telling me, and they said, in a very diplomatic way, to be honest, you were the first country we thought of. But then they smiled. Philippines is quite slow. What do I say? I'm so embarrassed. I said, I'll make sure before our chairship, I will ask the DNR, can you give us a deadline? Give us a deadline when you will finish. And can we not sign only when the summit happens? Let's sign way before. It's for our own benefit. Yes.
Ma'am, we're
You
targeting
second.
to finish the implementation agreement by November or December. We have started the negotiation. We're just finalizing the list of eligible projects. Once we have finalized that list, because one item there is the inclusion of the early retirement of coal, whether or not it will be included among the
Retirement of
of coal, Madam Chair, of coal-fired power plants.
just transition. Yeah.
Yeah, so as soon as we finish the Annex B, some of the provisions on the implementation agreement will be a lot easier to negotiate already, Madam Chair. So we hope to finish that within the year. Madam
Within the
Chair.
year.
Yes.
Totoo ha, when you
Yes,
pass your,
yes.
kasi when we see them during ASEAN, they'll say, oh, you did not sign. Oh, it will be so embarrassing.
Now, Madam Chair, just on because in the coal-fired power plant transition, we are the only one who's really ahead of the others. So that forms part of the agreement. So this is where the ASEN proposal comes in. So that's
part of the proposal would be to scale down the number of decades or years of coal, and that would be part of the credits, right? They can actually evaluate kung 50 years yung coal, gagawin 20 na lang, mapepresyohan yung 30 na hindi ginamit sa coal. Tama?
Tama.
Yeah. So why did Yusek Fragada sign, but I'll talk to you later, the extension of coal mining in our province? And you signed it, the ECC, on the day that the secretary was appointed. But I'll talk to you later. I have a letter to the secretary here. Why did you extend coal? This is not coal power plant. May coal power plants, but coal mining, the expansion. We're talking about deceleration, and we're talking about closing, and then the DENR signed the expansion. That was before your watch, and Tony didn't know about it. In between. Yes. Oh, why are you moving your eyes around like that? You signed it. The expansion of coal. Before, on the day the secretary's appointment was announced, when Tony resigned or her resignation, why did you sign? I think you should review that. Because it's unfair to the secretary, kakapasok lang niya. Tapos meron newly signed coal agreement, expansion not even renewal Hindi nyo maalala po? Yeah. Kaluya, Antique, expansion of coal mines. I have a letter for the secretary. We talked about it. Ito Oh, May 23. Nag-resign na si Tony niyan. Kailan po kayo na-appoint?
June 16.
But the resignation of Tony was accepted already on this day.
It wasn't accepted yet at that time.
No, he was OIC already.
Yeah, no. I think the resignation of Secretary Loizaga was effective upon my assumption into office, Madam Chair. So most probably he was acting as officer in charge while Secretary Loizaga was still secretary.
This was signed May 23. The Secretary Loizaga's resignation was confirmed and accepted. And a day after the resignation was confirmed, despite the public announcement of the successor as OIC, the DNR approved and amended expansion of coal mining.
Madam Chair, maybe
Kaluya.
perhaps the announcement was made by Executive Secretary Bersamin about the transitions that were going to take place, but as clarified with him, I was going to take over at a later period,
Yes.
and Secretary Loizaga remained as secretary until the time that I assumed.
But he was OIC, and I'd just like to read the Civil Service Commission's Omnibus Rules on Appointments. It provides that OICs may only exercise powers limited to administrative functions and the continuation of routine activities. They are not authorized to exercise discretion. So the expansion of a coal mine in a vulnerable area where coal is already, in your own words, being transitioned, being closed, and we are opening more coal mines. So I asked for a review of this. Nothing personal to those who own it, but here it's clear the issuance of an OCC, an ECC, especially an amendment of this magnitude, is a discretionary and policy altering act, as it involves environmental risk assessment, interagency coordination, and public interest considerations. So under the DNR's EMB's Citizen Charter, ECCs are approved supposedly with authority from the DNR secretary, but because you were the OIC then, you acted on your own. So the USEC cannot approve and sign an ECC without an express delegation of authority from the secretary. Supposedly, I put that on record because I am, again, against it. I don't think an OIC should expand coal mining, especially you were coming in. It is unfair to you, and I would request you to please review it.
Will
But
do.
we will have because we talk about transitioning, and then here we are mining more for coal in a province which is very vulnerable. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We will certainly look into it in response
Just
to
so
your
that
letter.
Yusek Fragada, inutusan ba kayo ni Secretary Loizaga na pumirma sa expanded coal mining?
Madam Chair, Your Honor, good morning. Madam Chair, just to clarify, I wasn't designated officer in charge because her resignation was accepted already. I was officer in charge because she was on official business during that time. So I just went through my normal routine as OIC that we try to fast track the documents that are in the office of the secretary. And everything I signed is with clearance, Madam. So it wasn't I wasn't designated OIC because her resignation was accepted. I was OIC till the 23rd, ma'am, of May, only because she was on official business abroad. So I acted as officer in charge of the DNR during that time. But right after that, ma'am, when the resignation was accepted, she assumed again as secretary. So I just stayed on as OIC till she came back.
So therefore, it's clear that you were not authorized to sign the ECC. Then it should not be, ikaw ang nakapirma eh. So-
Ma'am, may clearance po from the office.
Oh, ikaw nakapirma eh. Then I talked to her. She does not know about it eh. So then you have to review it and revoke it if you say you were not it's just strange. May 23, tas May 23 rin pinirmihan. So dapat routine lang, admin, hindi pag-expand ng ECC ng coal. Mali.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
We'll take a look at it, ma'am.
Yes, no, I have this letter, this long pending letter. Oh,
Yes, Madam Chair.
I hope they've not expanded because you just gave the ECC. Eh. So many. Okay, I will withhold my questions there. I have a letter, but we will have another hearing on that, please. I want to be enlightened. But I bring it back to the issue of selling carbon credits. We're still in the first budget, which is the National Greening Program. Yes.
To us, Assistant Director, feasibility study, gamitin natin yung potential natin. Sayang, if we can generate revenue out of that program, pinakamaganda yun.
Sige po. Yes, Your Honor, we will do. We will submit it as once we have it.
And action ka agad para
Yes.
para mayroon na tayong revenue papasok.
Sige po.
Thank you.
Ano yung pangako niya, Chair?
We will submit a feasibility po of the potential for
Projections.
forest carbon projects
Yes.
in the Philippines, ma'am.
Okay. Paano nila,
Madam Chair.
sige, projections nyo kung magkano ang
Kikitain
income,
po natin.
kikitain. Okay, pero kailangan pirmahan na may commitment naman sila hanggang Desyembre natapos na yung negotiations. Pero syempre, pag negotiations, kailangan nandiyan na yung inyong projections kung magkano ang kikitain. Pero depende yan sa mga areas na isasama nyo sa inyong negotiations at pati na rin sa transition from coal. Tama?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Sige. Thank you. Please proceed. So, itong National Greening Program, ano yung LBRMO? What's a
Madam
special
Chair?
provision? Secretary.
Yeah, Madam Chair, you just, I think, Namria, you were asking how they,
To monitor.
the
Paano natin alam
the
na
forest
77 or 87% maganda pakinggan? Paano natin alam kung linoloko na tayo doon? Kung tinamnim pero hindi tumubo?
Yeah.
Malay natin. Yeah.
So Senator, on that, we will submit to your committee the monitoring maps of the Forest Management Bureau. But on the total forest cover, Namria will explain their methodology for measuring this.
Gusto lang namin accurate po yung ating forest cover na yung sinabi nyong 15 million, 2.2 million. Tama ba? Ang primary or old growth, 4.6 million. Pero bibigyan nyo sa amin, FMB, kung saan yung 2.2 at kung saan yung 4.6. At kung sinasabi nyo na ang NGP ay nasa 4.6. Pero kung ito'y secondary at bakit tayo dun nagtatanim para sa livelihood na puputulin? So hindi yan for protection. Ang protection forest ba, yung 2.2 lang at 4.6 hindi nyo kinoconsider na protection forest? Livelihood ba yan?
We've
Para maintindihan ko, FMB.
we've mapped, thank you, Mr. Secretary. Madam Chair, we've mapped out our protection forest and our production forests already.
So the
And
2.2 protect
the 2.2 of the open forest map, the 2.2 in the closed forest, ma'am, are all protection forests. Yeah.
4.6.
The 4.6, ma'am, are is a mix of within protection forest lands and production
Ideal.
forest lands.
What's ideal for forest cover for the Philippines?
The benchmark is 30%, ma'am,
30% of the 30 million,
of the 30.
which is 90.
Yeah, we're at
90.
we are at 24% now, ma'am.
So again, of the 30%, not of the total land area. 30% of the designated forest land.
Yes.
Kindly, what 30% of what? 30% of the 15 million hectares or of the total land area, or 30% of the legally designated 15
Private
million
forest.
hectares?
Mr. Chair, it's the 30% of the forest areas, ma'am.
Are you
In the-
sure? Is it 30% of 30
No, ma'am.
million hectares or 30% of the 15 million, which is the legally
I-
designated forest
I
area?
stand corrected, ma'am. It's 30% of the total land area, ma'am.
Kung 30 million, so
10 million hectares, ma'am. Yeah. We're at 7 now, ma'am. 7 million hectares.
protection eh. And the 4.6 is
Uh, Ma'am, Madam Chair, if I may, the 30% forest cover is the total land area of the country that is covered with standing forests. So, but we would have to disaggregate if you want that granularity. We would have to disaggregate how much of that 30% should be designated for protection forest and how much should be designated for production forest. At present, we've identified around 1 million hectares of potential investment areas within the production forest. So, kung ganun po yung gusto ninyo, Madam Chair, na narrative on the 30% benchmark forest cover, we can do that, ma'am.
okay. So we want to know the 15 million, which is really imagination na yan. It will never happen in our lifetime, okay? And we want to see the 2.2 million old growth, closed canopy, sana, saan yun? Sierra Madre, di ba? Sierra Madre. Oh, and watershed areas, yeah. And then the 4.6 aside from the 2.2, saan ito? And identify the 4.6, ano dyan yung protection, ano yung production.
Yeah.
At sa production, ano dyan ang pinasukan ng NGP?
Okay,
At
ma'am.
ano ang NGP na partners ninyo na people's organizations?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
Madam
will-
Chair,
That's what we
we'll
want to see.
submit those.
Yes. I think
yes.
that's also for the enlightenment of the chair, of us.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
we proceed now. Thank you.
Thank you,
With
ma'am.
Namria, paano po nyo sinusukat, minomonitor kung ano ba talaga ang pagtanim, ang pag-grow? How do we know that? What's the science behind it?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, Your Honor, Secretary. All of these maps were generated based on satellite imageries. Prior to 2015, we used Landsat and spot imageries with a resolution of 10 meters, but with ground validation. But with this latest, which we have, which is 2020, we use Sentinel Asia, Sentinel imageries with the same resolution, but with a much intensive ground validation. So all of these are overlaid on a base map, which are actually the topographic maps. So using geographic information system, we will be able to classify and identify all the land classifications systems which you are mentioning. Lahat po ito ay geo-referenced. So we can do that. It's a simple GIS application, Your Honor, Madam Chair.
It's the most forested area in the country now.
For the forest cover, ma'am,
Yeah, we have here a detailed breakdown of the forest cover which we have. Ang pinakamalaki po is Region 3 with 41% forest cover.
Po sa region.
Yeah, I stand corrected. It's actually Cordillera Administrative Region with 47%, followed by Region 2 with 41%. So if you want, Madam Chair, we can submit this data to you.
Anong pinaka-denuded na probinsya or region?
Region 7, ma'am, with 6% forest cover.
6.
6.
Kaya walang tubig sa Cebu.
Meron bang time series yung meron bang time series, let's say when we started in 2011 ganito itsura, 2012 may mga ganyan ba yan?
Your Honor, we do the updating every 5 years. That's why we were mentioning 2010, 2015, and the latest which we have is actually 2020. But now we are about to come up with the
Bakit ang tagal ng
2025.
interval? Sa Google parang every year meron ah.
Based on our available resources and manpower included.
But you buy those maps, diba? You don't do you shoot them yourself?
We just buy the data source.
Correct. You just buy it. So how come we cannot buy it on much shorter intervals?
Mr. Chairman, I think
Yeah.
the ground validation part is the one that
Takes time.
takes time.
Oo.
Yeah.
But even the ground validation, 5 years?
Yun po ang nangyayari based on the available resources which we have.
When you
But-
say ground validation, what do you-
Our personnel go to the field and with a sampling intensity of 10%, say 10%, binavalidate po natin yung classification na ginawa natin based on the satellite imageries.
because from if you look at the budget in if you're talking about 2020, the budget at that time for the National Greening Programs 3 billion, 2025 is 1.4. So malaki na yung disparity eh. No? So is there a way to shorten it?
As far as Namiri is concerned, with regards to this specific task, the budget allocated to us for this purpose is just 7.711 million pesos. It's different from the budget of the
So
National Greening
it's
Program.
a different
It's a
different program.
separate
A
program.
different budget. And what I understand from the secretary, the time-consuming part is the ground validation. This is the physical
Yeah.
validation.
Yes, Your Honor.
But in terms of just pure mapping, meron ba ganun every year? For example, we see increase in terms of forest cover.
Your
we
Honor,
have
we do
that.
it on a 5-year.
Without ground validation, without ground validation, just on purely map.
We do it on a 5-year cycle, as I have said, Your Honor. uh,
Including,
based on the available resources, and we use the satellite imagery as data source.
so you buy the maps every 5 years.
Yeah. Actually, Your Honor, before 2020, yung Landsat imageries na-obtain natin for free.
3 years.
For free.
For free.
Libre
Okay.
po yun.
Okay.
But the problem is because with the very limited budget, which is just 7 million pesos, so naubos yun sa ground validation pa lang, wherein our personnel have to go to the field para mag-conduct ng sampling.
Correct. But so there are two activities, the map, the purchase of maps and the ground validation. And the purchase of maps takes every 5 years yan. In purchase of maps.
Your Honor, we don't purchase the maps. We purchase the imageries from where we
I'm
generate.
sorry, you purchase the imagery.
Yeah, from where we generate the maps.
Okay. And we buy it every 5 years.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, but you can buy it obviously shorter. If we want
Yes.
to buy it every year, we can buy it.
Yes, Your Honor, given the
Magkano ba yun yung isang, magkano ba ganun? How much is for this purpose if you buy the map every year, how much is an annual expense of map?
for the imageries, Your Honor, as I have said, we can acquire them for free. Ang main nagastos lang natin dun sa ground validation,
Ground validation.
field work.
How long does it take to ground validate?
Depende sa available resources, Your Honor. If we want, we can do it yearly.
Kaya naman.
Kaya.
Depende, it's the budget that
Yeah.
that ano. Okay, all right.
Financial
Well,
resources.
I think ang opinion ko medyo mahaba yung 5 years for purposes of validation because what we want is we're allocating additional 1.8 next year. 1.6 no? 1.6 next year. So ang iniisip ko before we allocate, we have to make sure that it's yung mga tinatanim natin lumalaki talaga, no? And there's an assurance to us that the cover is really increasing, no? What's the target eventually? Is it 30 million hectares, tama ba?
30%.
30%. And
Yes, sir.
what's the 30%?
10 million.
10 million. And how much have we planted already?
We are at planted already.
Oh,
sir.
how much have we covered?
The existing forest cover right now, the Philippines, sir, is at 7 million.
So 3 na lang yung natitira. Okay. And then so that's what we want to see, whether the 70% or the 7 million is actually there, no? Through the mapping. Later on na lang, just will request from the committee, or can you just submit to us your latest data showing that we have covered 70%, no? Okay, because we allocate ang laki ng amount, some 1.6, 1.8. We have to make sure na yung 70% andun, yung 7 million nandun talaga. No? That's the
60
objective.
billion na to.
Yeah, at 60 billion. At 60 billion. Yeah.
Thank you. So we go back to the first line, which is the Enhanced National Greening Program. The budget you're asking is 1.655 billion. The target set for DNR by DNR would include, as you mentioned, rehabilitation of denuded forest lands, correct? Do you have a page where it focuses only on NGP? So that what I'm saying is, or talagang major programs lang yan? Okay, let me just state if you don't have that page. So rehabilitation of forest lands, correct me if I'm wrong, 17,436 hectares. Production of ilang seedlings? 8.8?
8 million, ma'am.
8
8.8 million.
seedlings, 8.8 million seedlings. And the maintenance and protection of 55,871 hectares of existing plantations. In the breakdown of funding for the enhanced NGP for 2026, there's an 1, 2nd, 3rd. Ano to? 1st, 2nd, 3rd year of implementation.
Yes.
So is this a multi-year program? Will the 1.6 billion cover 3 years of implementation or only 2026? So how will you release the funding? Is it in tranches? Please explain to us.
Yeah.
Is it a multi-year program? Kasi
Yeah,
nakalagay
it
dito
is.
first, second, 3 years. And then how will you release the funding? Because the budget is a 2-year cycle.
Since the NGP
Yes.
is maintained for 3-year support,
3
Madam
years.
Chair.
Yes.
So for the first year, therefore, that's the enough. Now for those that are already in their second year, then there is also a separate allocation, and then for the third year,
You release the funds. Yung
yearly.
By
correct. Mag-expire ang pondo ng 2026 sa December ng 27. How will you use it for the third year?
Madam Chair, then for the third year, it will be, in other words, the funding for the first year support will be released this year. For the second year, also released this year. And then for the third year, also released this year. So a 3-year cycles. If one thinks of it as
But the funding will not be
all
released on the
current.
third year.
all
Current.
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 Yes. Thank you.
Years, but it's not on the third year ang release ng funds because your funds will expire. Yeah, how is it?
Madam Chair, parang ganito po yun. Yung na-establish natin ng 2024, yun po yung first year. Bibigyan po natin ng maintenance and protection. Yung na-establish po natin ng plantation ng 2023, which is a second year na siya, bibigyan pa rin po natin. And then yung 2022, bibigyan pa rin po na. So third year yung nagawa na establish natin.
When you say binibigyan nyo, sino ang binibigyan nyo? Yung people's organization na nagtanim?
Yes, yung
Do
contract
you
po.
give them money or do you give them seedlings? Or do you give them tools? What do you give them? Puhunan? Anong binibigay nyo? O sweldo? What is it?
Madam Chair, it's cash po. But because they produce their own seedlings that will be used. Ito po yung seedling production na nakikita niyo dyan, ma'am. Yung plantation establishment po, sila din po magtatanim, magpe-prepare din ng area for planting. Sila din po ang maintenance and protection, ma'am. Weeding, watering and maintenance of the seedlings until they grow to a certain age, ma'am. The thing why it's 3 years, ma'am, it's because the government accounting manual provides that for reforestation programs of the government, ma'am, the investment period is only for 3 years. We would want it sana ma'am 5 years, pero the limitation is 3 years lang po.
In your target for maintenance, it says existing plantations is 55,871 hectares. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So
Yes, Madam Chair.
it gives the impression that the target rehabilitation of denuded forest lands covering the first to the third years have been completed. Kung 55,000.
Ma'am, Madam Chair, if I may.
55,000, is that correct? That means you would have completed it by the time?
Madam Chair, ito pong 55,000 na tinarget namin for this year na maintenance and protection, these are the areas that are supposed to be protected for the first year, the second year, yung in-explain po ni Yusek Jonas kanina. The other areas, ma'am, na tapos na po the 3 years, we're not funding it under the NGP anymore. We're doing protection under the Forest Protection Program, ma'am. Because only 3 years lang po yung available for the NGP, ma'am.
Another forest protection program where there's another
Kapag
funding.
po nag-lapse na yung 3 years, ma'am, ng plantation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yung inyong unit cost for the second year of the project is higher by 101%. From 4,308 per hectare in the first year to 8,674 per hectare. Can you kindly explain that? In the second year, bakit may increase, a huge increase per hectare cost?
For the second year, ma'am, because the second year maintenance and protection, ma'am, we might need to do replanting. We might need to address some of the survival issues from the first year because, ma'am, textbook wise,
there is an expected 20% mortality dun sa plantation and establish mo. And then you need to, by the end of the third year, ma'am, you need to achieve 85% survival rate. So yung first year, second year mo, ma'am, Madam Chair, you would need to do replacement planting there. So that's seedling production again, and then going back and then planting those alongside with your already surviving seedlings that you've planted during your site preparation, plantation establishment, ma'am.
So these are all cash money being given to the POs.
To the people's organizations, ma'am. Yeah.
That's why it's important that you please provide us with all the recipients of the NGP since the beginning,
We'll
so
do
that we're able to see the 60 billion. What people's organizations are they?
Yes, ma'am.
In province, especially Senator Gatchalian goes around all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, visits. We'd like to see them. We'd like to assess the work. Has there been any technical performance audit? Not COA, it's just numbers. Pag COA, sino ang third party assessment ng ginagawa?
Yes, Madam Chair.
How do we know there's no ghost POs
Yeah.
or ghost trees or ghost mountains or ghost mangroves, right?
We'll have it ready for you, Madam Chair. We have all those things, and just to add, Madam Chair, if I may, and Mr. Secretary, most of the POs that we've partnered with the National Green Program are also our community-based forest management agreement partners. POs po sa CBFMA program natin. But nevertheless, we'll submit to the committee, Madam Chair, the list of all the people's organizations and the third-party assessment that we
Then
did.
maybe the outstanding POs, we'd like to meet them.
Yes, Madam Chair.
The outstanding partners.
We have
right?
those.
We'd like to meet them. Maybe one outstanding per region para makita natin. Dapat yun ang pinapakita nyo eh. Oo.
Yes, Madam Chair. We have those,
Yes.
and we'll be ready to submit.
Because these are the possible applicants for carbon credit trade, yung ginagawa nila. We see. You've pegged the target plantation area at 17,436 hectares. Is that correct? 17,000 hectares?
It is correct, Madam Chair.
Okay. And you're targeting to produce 8,884,604 seedlings to plant.
That is correct, Madam Chair.
So your targets seem to suggest that DNR will be planting 510 seedlings per hectare.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Tama ba yon?
Yes, Madam Chair.
So, ano ang spacing nyo? How is it done?
3 by
Explain
3?
to us, please.
3 by 3.
Because
Madam, on the spacing, it varies. But on the average, ma'am, it's around 3 by 3 po.
okay, 3 by 3.
Yeah.
So if it's 3 by 3, 3 meters between lines and 3 meters between plants within a line, area per tree, 3 meters and 3 meters is 9 square meters per tree. If you have this land area and each seedling requires 9 square meters, you will need 19,373,333 seedlings. Why are you targeting to plant only 8.8 million trees if you are preparing 17,436? So there's something wrong with the numbers because ikaw na nagsabi 3 by 3. Oh, bakit ganun?
Madam
Bakit
Chair.
hindi 19.3 million tree seedlings? Bakit ano lang? 8.8.
Yes, Madam Chair. If I may address it, ma'am. The seedling production, 8.8 million seedlings for this year is not the sole seedlings that will be planted in the 17,000. Meron na po tayong mga seedlings, ma'am, na na-produce sa ating mga DNR nurseries, ma'am, even from the past years. Like what Yusek Jonas Leones mentioned earlier, ma'am, we've established seed production areas and to collect the indigenous species, ma'am. So meron naman na po tayong stock ngayon, ma'am. This is only to add to what we have, ma'am. Actually
Including
meet.
your report, please, the seed production areas.
Yes, ma'am, we will.
Are the seed production areas different from nurseries?
the seed production areas, ma'am, are different from the nurseries because the seed production areas are where you get the actual seeds of the plant, and then you nurse them and you grow them in the
Sure.
DNR nurseries.
So,
ma'am.
iba pa yung seed production areas. These are nearer the forest.
Opo.
And then the nurseries.
Opo. Yeah.
Okay. This is only for highlands or upland, or would you include also mangroves? We're talking about now forests.
For mangroves, ma'am, do we have seed production areas, propagate production areas for mangroves?
Beginning.
Madam Chair, if I may refer the mangroves to the Biodiversity Management Bureau.
To them later.
Okay, ma'am.
So let's finish this. So please give us the seed production areas and the nurseries.
Yes, ma'am, we will.
Yes.
Even the locations, ma'am.
Mhm. I know that there was can we ask LB Remo to read, or perhaps you can read, the special provision in the past years. I hope that the succeeding chairs had included it in the GAA, that the NGP will be earmarked for protected areas. There's a special provision, di ba? Meron. Oo. So nandun pa rin. I placed this when I was chair pre-pandemic, and I'm not sure if it's been adopted, but if the chair would agree so that we are able to protect the protected areas more with limited greening, we should focus it on already legislated protected areas and or state universities and colleges which have land grants, which have forests, and they do not have the resources or the facilities or perhaps the know-how unless they offer a forestry, pwedeng doon sila mag-partnership with para naka-earmark. Unless tong 1.6 nyo, kasi hindi to dapat lamsam naka-breakdown na ba ito?
Naka-breakdown
Yeah.
na po yan, Madam Chair.
So if it's broken down, why is it concentrated in the OSEC? Why not already in the regions?
Ma'am,
It's an OSEC pero
yes,
naka
Ma'am,
line
OSEC,
item.
when we say OSEC per DBM category po, it includes bureaus, the staff bureaus,
Yeah.
and the regional offices.
So naka-breakdown siya kasi hindi ko na
Apo.
nakikita rito, OSEC lang nakalagay, naka-breakdown na yan.
Yes,
Yung
ma'am, naka-breakdown
1.6B, hindi yan lump sum sa OSEC, yan ay naka-breakdown na. I will read the breakdown, and with the permission of the chairman of finance, well, we will reinstate the NGP to be, nandito na pala eh. Is this previous GAA? They adopted already what I did before. Okay, it's already here that there should be close coordination with the SUCs in the establishment of nurseries, including clonal nurseries, but also in the planting in the land grants. I'll expand that in forest areas and mangrove areas where applicable.
Yes, Madam
Oo.
Chair. We've sent you a list actually, ma'am, of the potential areas within SUCs for NGP implementation.
Of the 114, including UP and all the campuses, ano dyan ang may bundok na may forest, ano dyan ang may mangroves, dapat doon ang inyo. At saka aside from the legislated protected areas.
Yes, Madam Chair.
That means you'll have to change a little your list kung saan nyo ginaganap yung inyong NGP.
That's
So
totally
you'll have
fine,
to do
Madam
that
Chair.
to- kasi oo kayo ng oo minsan pag hearing, tapos ang implementation within the year, gawa na kayo ng gusto nyo. Pero ang aming mungkahi ay sana sa protected areas nyo i-focus
Yes.
at saka sa SUCs na may land grants.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Para tutulong din sila sa inyo sa pag-monitor.
Yes, Madam Chair. We will do that.
Yes. Down of the 1.6 kung anong region, anong probinsya. Kasi hindi ko makita rito eh. Anong region, anong probinsya, at ano doon ang mangrove, ano ang forest sa bundok. Oo. Kasi wala eh, hindi nakalagay eh. Nakalagay lang sa akin OSEC Anyway,
We'll
so
provide that.
provide that, and then remind me, I'll have to fix it because kung saan yung listahan ng SUC may oo. Ano, tsaka pag protected area, para mabuti. Kasi kung saan lang. Oo. Para focused. Proceed now. We're only on the first program. Okay, nasa pangalawang programa na po. Hindi kaya sabi kong mahaba eh. Magpatanghalian naman kayo. Okay, yeah. No, kasi we'll have a second hearing time. Yeah, I don't know kung matapos lahat yan. Sige. Enhanced biodiversity conservation. Yeah, paliwanag po nyo. And this is 1.3 billion. Is this BMB?
Yes,
BMB.
BMB.
Who's the head
Ma'am,
now of BMB?
Assistant Director Mariglo is there, Madam Chair.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Good morning, everyone. This is Mariglola Ririt from the Biodiversity Management Bureau. So at the moment, we have 251 protected areas. And 7 of them are have been newly declared as such, legislated.
Tayo po. How many pakilakasan po? How many ang legislated na?
We have a total of 251, Madam Chair, and there are amongst them 121 legislated po.
If it's 121 legislated, and the 200, how many did you say po?
251, Madam Chair.
251 minus 121, what's the status of the balance? Still needing compliance, or is it all with us drafted? It's just that we're not doing it.
So out of the balance, 117 po are initial, what we call initial component.
Initial component. Yeah.
And 13 of them have been proclaimed, Madam Chair, but not yet legislated po.
251
Total.
minus 121 legislated, right?
Correct,
So
ma'am.
what's the anong
13 po proclaimed, Madam Chair, and 117 initial components po.
so the 117 we cannot legislate it yet. Initial component, you're doing the work on the ground.
So they are in various stages of assessments,
Yes.
Madam Chair. And so some are going through protected area suitability assessments.
How long will it take to finish the process so that it can be legislated?
It really depends, Madam Chair, on the context. Some of them have been overtaken by developments, yeah, and so on. So how it goes usually is from my 6 months with the Bureau is that if there is an urgent need that is seen, for example, critical species, critical habitats, and further investigation into something that is an initial component, then the Bureau looks into it.
Saying, dahil na ungusan na ng panahon at sabihin natin may mga tao na hindi na kayang madeklara. I mean, sabihin natin totoo. So maski isa batas namin, wala. Sa batas lang. Kaya lang, marami ng development. Is that how it is? But we legislated the other protected areas, even if there were settlers, and they just have to follow the protected area rules.
Certainly, Madam Chair.
Yes.
That is not to say that we should not. But if we look into the management of the protected areas, even the legislated ones, there's a lot of work that needs to be done for us to be truly able to say that they are indeed protected.
You're correct. In fact, ilan total? 117? Kasi, Mr. Chair, all we have are lists. But what we need to do is have not just the list, but the actual state of the nation, state of the protected area in terms of biodiversity, what are the challenges, to be fair, the good news as well. Sinong matino ang PAMBI, anong magandang ginagawa, ano yung may challenges kasi may informal settlers na o kung ano man ay nung na-declare natin, yun. So, that is for the declared. And for the undeclared but in the process, ganun din. So, sana ganun ang presentation nyo. Parang, I want to have i-earmark ko yung another hearing for the protected areas because otherwise, maho-hostage man yung budget ng iba. Another hearing for the protected areas. Like what happened to Bohol in the resort in the middle of the Chocolate Hills. Yes.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
as you pointed out, the protected areas cover titled lands, as well as those that have been declared alienable and disposable before the legislation. And so in these areas, one really has to face with the challenges there. Because on the other hand, the private owners, their concept of ownership would therefore be one that allows them to utilize the land as they see fit. And on the other hand, the concept of protected area allows government to intervene in the activities that are going to be carried out in the area. But if, for example, one has a town that is 80% of its urban population falling within a protected area, then one can realize the extent of the challenges. Because to expand their kitchen or have improvements, they will have to get the clearance. And this by itself can actually take up the time of the people who will have to verify the proposed improvements and give the necessary permits. So that's the challenge we have with respect to this.
When we say protected area and the legislated 121, it does not mean naman na wala pang tao, na walang settlers, na walang habitation. It just says that we need to protect the ridge to reef in that area. And even if there are, and I do not think at 121, meron pang bakanting lupa dyan. Hindi naman. All we're saying is that it needs to be protected. So there must be policy intervention so that those living in that area or working in that area must be advised that this is a protected area. So matuto kayong gumalaw at hindi dapat intrusive or extractive ang mga activities dyan. Hindi naman sa amin na ano yan Adam and Eve na walang tao dyan. Hindi ganun. So even if it's more difficult because there's regulation, di matutong sumunod. May regulation. Are you saying, Secretary, that because nauna na ang mga tao, we cannot declare it a protected area anymore, even if it needs to be protected? All the more we should speed up the assessments and legislate it. We're not taking away the land because marami dyan titled land. No. But they just have to abide by regulations for their own sake. Para hindi sila maubusan ng tubig, para hindi guguho ang lupa, para hindi sila masunami, para mas maganda pang turismo at pangkabuhayan ang kanilang kinalalagyan kasi protektado. Hindi ba? Oo.
That's right, Madam Chair. What I just wanted to point out is that where there are, if 80% of a town is within a protected area, and of course, they will have to get the necessary permits for activities that impact on the protected area. it can be a challenge for those who are administering the protected area. So that this is where we have to recognize that more resources are needed to be able to do that. And then, of course, the zoning of the areas between no-go zones and those which are for multi-purpose areas and so on would have to be done. And that's why the protected areas do need levels of support that are far beyond what we are able to provide at the
Yes,
moment.
that's true, Secretary. That's why we want to know the status of each protected area. And LGUs, POs, CSOs, academe, farmers, fisher folks, when they learn, oy, protektado na ito, it's for their benefit. And we must make them understand it's for their benefit. Oo. Especially in critical watersheds, right? So perhaps what I need from the BMB is not just a list of the protected areas and the budget, but really the status of each protected area and the challenges in that protected area. In short, pangalagaan natin yung 1-to-1 na ito at i-hasten natin, bilisan yung nakapending na 117, yung proclaimed hindi na kailangan isa batas, kailangan din.
Kailangan din po,
Yeah.
Madam Chair.
So it's total 117 plus
Plus
the
13
7,
po, Madam
plus
Chair.
13. So that's 130.
Yes, ma'am.
May kulang yun. 130 plus the 121, yun na ba yun? Okay.
251,
So,
yes, Madam
in
Chair.
short, the 130 pending protected areas for legislation because it's still pending with DNR. Alam ni Ana kung paano ginawa ko nung second term. Dahil, sabi ko, makasilang term ako. At the time when we started this, ilan lang protected areas? 13. 13 yata, less. Sabi ko, maski lang termino ako dito, hindi ko matatapos ng 200. So ginawa natin, omnibus. There was resistance at that time, right? Ayaw ng mga iba. Pinulong ko per province or per region, right? And then, eventually, then there was a legal aspect being cited, hindi na pwede omnibus, etc. Anyway, we went through it and we passed it. Yeah, when Senator Villar was a chair. So, that's very good. So, now, maybe this 117, yeah, ano po yung timeline para matapos nyo? The proclaimed, should the proclaimed not be legislated para mas strengthened?
They still need to be legislated,
Yes,
Madam
so
Chair.
the 7 can be legislated na may proclamation.
So sorry, Madam Chair, the 13 that have been proclaimed can
13.
readily mature into a legislated PA. Out of the 117 po, if I may be allowed to continue,
Yes.
107 po have completed what we call the Protected Area Suitability Assessments, or PASA, and 52 of these 107 are what we may call low-hanging PAs for endorsement to Congress po. So that's where we are po today.
Please submit it to us,
Yes, ma'am.
52, and then give us a status of the pending ones.
Yes, ma'am. Will
and the
do, Madam
timeline
Chair.
of completion and the proclaimed have to be legislated. So, ready na yun. Kasi pinoclaim na siya. Pag pinoclaim siya, ibig sabihin, tapos na siya. So, it's the completed assessments and the proclaimed
Yes,
ang pwedeng i-legislate po.
yes, Madam Chair.
It can be INIPAS too, right? Kasi yung ating ginawa, ano ba yun? No, it was NIPAS, and then we have the INIPAS and whatever we call that. It's so another expanded, right? While the challenges of the existing NIPAS is here, I'm sure mas maraming challenges because growing population, at least may semblance of protection. Alam nila, sige, may batas na, okay, susunod tayo, okay, at least ang basura wag lang itapon sa ilog at sa dagat o single-use plastic, hindi. I-martial law natin, war on waste, at least in the PAs, right? When you say martial law, I use it very, dictatorial rule, martial law on waste. On waste. War on waste. Yes, so whichever's the term. I hate to use those terms, but kailangan kasi ganun talaga sa kalinisan at kaayusan Kung hindi kakalbuhin ang bundok at saka puputulin ng mangroves at puro plastic na lang. Kasi pag panahong habagat, kita nyo, maski malinis ang sa harap mo, puro na lang plastic gawa galing sa ibang lugar. At ang hirap maglinis kasi susunod na araw, ganun na naman, lahat ng plastic. No, we're killing ourselves. Yeah. Okay, continue please. Thank you.
Yes, Madam. So for the budget that has been projected on screen, here are the following activities, major activities in protected areas under the category of protected area management and development. So there's habitat protection and monitoring, wildlife protection and enforcement, resources assessment, ecotourism development where applicable, rehabilitation and enhancement of degraded areas, protected area office establishment and maintenance.
It's not on
Protected-
the screen. Can we ask them to flash it on the screen?
Sorry.
That BMB is giving us. Do you have that?
Do we have it in it's a script that I have, Madam Chair.
O, sige, pakibasa po ulit para maliwanag.
Okay.
Oo.
So under protected area management and development, here are the following headings accounted for by the budget. So there's habitat protection and monitoring, wildlife protection and enforcement, resource assessment, ecotourism development where applicable, rehabilitation of degraded areas, protected area office establishment and maintenance, protected area management office operationalization, as well as support for the protected area management board, sustainable financing, community partnership, and activities for other NIPAS priority areas. So I think, Madam Chair, if I may, the more significant figure is if we were to divide the budget over the number of hectares of our protected areas, that would give us a number to start with. And it's, if I'm not mistaken, it's somewhere in the order of around 290 pesos per hectare per year for our protected areas is what the budget comes down to. And so to the point of our Honorable Secretary earlier, there is alignment definitely in the need for more protected areas, as well as a call for support for resources for us to be able to accomplish all these things that we have set out to do.
₱190 per hectare.
So for the 251, the universe of 251 protected areas, Madam Chair, that is it covers a total of 7.88 million hectares of land and sea po. 4.59 million
Sorry,
hectares of
7.8
88 million hectares, Madam Chair,
of PAs.
of PA, land and
Land
sea.
and sea
Yes, Madam
from
Chair.
our legislated 1-to-1.
For 251, ma'am.
For all
all
the
na.
251.
Assuming that
Oh,
yeah, that the area of the initial component will not change.
7 million hectares of land and sea.
Yes, Madam
Mm.
Chair.
Oo. Do you have the delineation of land and sea?
For land, Madam Chair, 4.59 million hectares of land area is within protected areas, and that accounts for 15.29% of the total land area of the country.
Is this 4.59 M part of the FMB count of 2.2 million or the 4.6 million or both? Sakop na ito, itong 4.59. Kasi 4.59 of the 7.8 MPAs is the land. So I would assume those are forests. are those forests part of the 2.2? And others are part of 4.6?
Okay, so, okay, land cover and land use are different. So we have, for example, within PAs, actually alienable and disposable land. And yeah,
It's not correct to, because marami nga dyan, may settlers, land use, etc. So maybe what you need to make us understand